where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman pikin, they the street, they hawk. Still them talk, say, make we no talk. But thank God, say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun the command of the masses. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun diary politico. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. This man not dey off in mind. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Aha. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ la.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làwọn tó dòdòdò.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun #1. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun #1. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í kó níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun #1. Bó bá ṣe é.
You are welcome to the People's Parliament again on Mayegun's Diary Politico through that, medium called the Temple of Truth. And you can be part of it tonight, okay? Especially those of you who are Lagos Abobakus. You can also join, okay? Join like other people, to come and tell us what we probably don't know, okay? But to join this broadcaster tonight, first, you need to like the broadcast, share it, do all your parts, okay? Then the link to joining the studio, and you can bring out your face. Don't be faceless, all right? Whatever things you have to say about Mayegun, you can come and say it to my face. At least I no go beat you. Abi, the link is in the is right there in the description. It is also in the comment. Share the broadcast.
Lórí Facebook. Lórí YouTube. Ọba bá gbé wúrẹ́. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Presido bá rúfin o.
Read the caption of this broadcast. Read the description as well. Get yourself in tune into what this is going to be all about tonight. But to get all of us into the mood, I will start. And after, let's say, about half an hour to an hour, the studio will be open. And the parliamentarians can begin to show face, right? Share the broadcast.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnrakì. Àní ẹ̀ súnrakì. Mayegun ti dé.
Mo ti dé o. So, good morning to you, and good afternoon to you, and good evening to you as well, from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun on the People's Parliament today, live. But just before the parliamentarians start popping up from all over the world to come and share their own personal views, opinions, and from whichever perspective they are going to bring this from tonight, as we do always on the People's Parliament, you are welcome to come and share your view. However, before we get to the part where the parliamentarians will be popping up here and there, I also need to get all of you up to date with what is going on in Nigeria. And it does help a lot of parliamentarians as well to have their own talking points and share their views. And most of the time, what you have to say doesn't really have to be what I am discussing or what I have shared. Whatever I say from now, whatever I do from now for the next hour, it is just to get you ready in the spirit as usual. So let's start picking them up. There is this new sort of article that just came out. I will call it article, but it's a write-up, all right? And it is from someone who happened to be a former student reporter from the Chicago State University. Now, probably caught the news of Kolu, the Chicago State University, Atiku, and the court case in the media. And as a former student, he was interested. Then he decided to share his view. It is like, well, at the end of it all, he actually called Tifnumbu the typical traditional Nigeria prince. And Chicago State University could actually be a victim of a Nigeria prince, a Nigeria scammer, who has now become the president of Nigeria. I'm going to read you that text. So that, I mean, you know me now. The reason why you have the diary is because we pay attention to every detail. Whatever you say, whatever you do, and whatever you don't say, but with what you do, we can put 1 and 2 together and indeed tell who you are and what you represent. In this instance, when it comes to the case of Nigeria. So on Mayegun's diary political, it is like your diary. Do you understand? You just come on and say, I want to go and watch Mayegun's video. Once you see the title doesn't really capture everything in my video, right? But what it does is that when you open any video on Mayegun's diary political, old or new, it doesn't matter. They all have dates. It's like your diary. Go back on them. Go and listen to so many of them. And then you realize that whatever Mayegun is doing right now, since he's always been documenting them with his presentation and analysis, as some of you will say, that's why it is called the diary. And that is where we are going to start from tonight. From this screen sharing, from where I'm going to read as usual, word for word, okay? And then we're going to move on to the next one. Then we're going to move on to the next one, onto the next one, until the parliamentarians show face. Now, here we go. This blog, the publisher's name is Koiden Palmer, and the image on the header of the article is that of Tifnumbu's submitted INEC, what do you call it, the original copy, supposed original copy of Tifnumbu's certificate from Chicago State University. The one he presented to INEC in Nigeria, fake. Nigeria law says if you submit any fake documents for electoral office, you have committed perjury and you are due for disqualification. But that is just on paper, not in practice. However, this writer, this American former student of the same school that Tifnumbu went to, said Tifnumbu is parading a fake diploma that has now boxed Chicago State University into a negative media scandal. Now, make a read so that I don't kind of waste much of your time. Now, they said this diploma from Nigeria President Bola A. Tinubu is what was turned over to election officials in Nigeria in Nigeria, and is now the subject of judicial proceedings. Here in the United States. So Tinubu's opponent, Atiku, and blah, 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 blah. This is just describing the image, okay? But let's go to the body of the article, where some other new information were actually released. Something that, somebody will kind of see, and it won't take time to discover the fake. But you see all the fake documents that were used by those who ran for office in Nigeria in this last charade election, right? 80% of them presented fake documents, forged documents to the electoral body in Nigeria. The height of it is this, the Tinubu, which has been declared president, right? Like forgery, to the point that even if in the face of the law, their own courts in Nigeria said, okay, the fact that it has been accepted as original, even if the document is fake, it's not for the court, okay, to determine whether the document is fake or not. They will just treat it as original, and it will serve the purpose. And that's it. Interpretation of using fake documents. So this American writer was kind of was a little bit wondering, imagining how is that even possible in the face of your law. Now, in his expression, which I'm going to read now here, he said, I got to admit, this one story shows the level of corruption in Nigeria, and it makes you cry and laugh at the same time. I'm going to ahead. He said, the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, introduced a fake diploma from Chicago State University to an election board in Nigeria that claims he graduated from the Southside institution in 1979, CSU, Chicago State University. So CSU officials have confirmed in court that Tinubu did indeed graduate from the university, but cannot confirm the authenticity of the diploma that has now been submitted into evidence in a federal court. U.S. District Judge Nancy Maldonado on Tuesday issued a stay on an order that would have required Chicago State University officials to provide documents from the university confirming or denying President Tinubu's claims. The matter has thrusted Chicago State University into an international political war, in which political opponents of Tinubu and many Nigerian citizens are calling for his removal from office. He was just elected to lead the country back in February. That wasn't true. He was never elected. Let us always kind of tell our children, Tinubu was never elected to be president of Nigeria. Point blank. All right? However, let me make this easy for you. This is the writer now. The diploma itself is a fake. On the alleged diploma, the date of graduation is listed as June 27, 1979. The signature of the Chicago State University president shows Enora D. Daniel. I almost spit out my coffee. I laughed so hard when I saw this. Dr. Daniel didn't become the president of Chicago State University until 1998. How do I know? Because I covered the inauguration and our first 2 years at Chicago State, in Chicago State. The writer is now using Chicago State instead of Chicago State University, by the way, right? So it's still the same thing. So I covered our inauguration and our first 2 years at Chicago State, Chicago State, when I was a student reporter for the now defunct school newspaper, Tempo. Additionally, on the fake diploma, Dr. Niva Lubin is listed as the president of the board of trustees. Dr. Lubin did not even start serving on the board until 1996. I've known Dr. Lubin since my days as a student at CSU, and she is a lifelong resident of Chatham, where I grew up. Furthermore, in 1979, Dr. Daniel was working as a teaching assistant at Columbia University. According to her biography and the resume she submitted when she applied to become the president of Chicago State in 1998. Now, 81, retired and living on the East Coast. So I'd love to know our reaction to the news that the president of Nigeria, who is 71 himself, claims she signed his diploma. The president of Chicago State University in 1979 was actually Dr. Benjamin H. Alexander, who died in 1997 and was the first African American to serve in that role at CSU. In 1979, Dr. Lubin, now married and going by the name Lubin Johnson, where she wasn't even a doctor in 1979. She didn't become a physician until 1984. So how two signatures of people who were not working at CSU came to be on a document that the president of Nigeria is trying to sell as legit isn't really a mystery. It is a lie. It is deceit. It is part of what is ruining many African nations and the world as a whole. Corruption. Other inaccuracies on the fake diploma that can easily be spotted by anyone who ever attended CSU. The university logo is all wrong for that time period. Again, I know this because the logo on the fake diploma is the one that that was controversial when it was changed in 1999. Myself and my fellow student journalist at Temple wrote a story about the change in the school symbol because those against it said it was a waste of money. They claimed changing all the school letterhead and signage to the new symbol will remove financial resources from other needs. President Daniel thought the change would be better marketing for the university. So the change was approved by the board. The university symbol in 1979 was a triangle with two bars. The bars represent the growth of the institution, starting as Chicago Teachers College, then Chicago State College, 1967, and eventually Chicago State University, 1971. I know this because I had to read that stupid handbook. You know, like all freshmen, and you learn about the history of this school. CSU attorney Michael Hayes said the university is prepared to do whatever the court asks of it. He said the international controversy has brought unwanted and unfair publicity to the school. I would debate that claim as CSU does enough as stupid stuff that brings bad publicity to itself. However, I must admit for now, at least, it seems that CSU is a victim here of a Nigerian scammer. It wouldn't be the first time an American institution fell victim to scammers in Africa. The end is possibly near for President Tinubu, at least in terms of his presidency. That's a typical American, or using American style to say the end has come for Tinubu. Tell them, say, they play. We are talking about Nigeria. We're not talking about America here. All right? So, according to the writer, the end is possibly near, where there is a doubt there anyway, for President Tinubu, at least in terms of his presidency. If justice actually prevails in Nigeria, fine. Now you are talking. There is no justice in Nigeria. Nigeria is the textbook definition of what injustice means. And I know a lot of people who have suffered injustice all over the world will tell me Theirs is different too, but I'm talking about Nigeria. Legalized injustice is in Nigeria. We're going to get to that part, okay? Because those who are behind the expose, all this expose, Tinubu is now working tooth and nail to make sure that they were brought back to Nigeria, dead or alive, in chains, like Bokwari spent Nigeria resources, made deal with Kenya. God knows what that was, right? For them to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu and lock him up illegally in Nigeria for over 2 years. Tinubu is on the march now to do the same, because it would not go down without a fight. Not this that is been sworn in as president of Nigeria. So the writer continues, right? So he said, when Judge Maldonado makes a ruling next week, in which it is expected that Chicago State University will turn over documents that shows its true student records, right? The courts in Nigeria will have a decision to make. They either remove their leader for violating laws in Nigeria or look the other way. Now you are talking. They will look the other way, obviously, right? So the writer, before concluding, also added this: I hope they understand the whole world will be watching too, especially at Chicago State University. Nigerians and everyone else deserve the truth. If Tinubu is willing to fake a diploma, what else is he willing to do? That was the conclusion, the end, from the point of view of an American former student of the school that Tinubu said is parading their diploma, which has created all of this controversy. Nigerians would have to live with that consequences, including, like I told you yesterday, your green passport. There will be consequences. Elections have consequences. Now, talking about consequences and how people are indeed trying to, if there is actually any effort to manage the consequences of this unfortunate APC. I'm going to tell you about what they are doing in Eastern Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria is politically structured the way it is right now, so as to keep the country and the people in perpetual poverty, while those who have the chance take their turn to loot whatever they can loot from that country. No plan, no nothing. There are times that we have said, listen, when Nigeria was to be, and 3 regions, people from 3 regions that formed the then Nigeria's first republic, independence Nigeria, what happened? 3 regions had the autonomy. They had all of the power to make themselves become whatever they desired at the time before 1966, and everything changed. Before then, we only had, at the time, you had Western region, which comprises mostly what is today the western part of Nigeria, the states in Yoruba land mostly. Then you have the northern region. You have the northern region, which comprises of the core north and partly what is today central Nigeria, or central, they say the north central, not south central, it's north central. But there wasn't anything like that. It was Midwestern region. It was carved out when the people from that axis felt kind of, less benefiting, or the arrangement was less beneficial to them, beneficial. So what did they do? They demanded for a region called the Midwestern region, autonomous, free to do whatever they could. They were making their own laws. They were indeed, right, making their own trade and every other thing, protecting themselves as well. Then in case if you don't know as well, the region called the Eastern region comprises of everywhere. They have now politically broken apart, where the people have kind of been so divided for this political, political crumbs that have been thrown there. So the reason why today you have the Eastern Nigeria, and they say it comprises of those who you can say the core Igbos, Abi. Back then, during the independence, right, there was nothing called the South of Nigeria. It's just the same way you didn't have anything called the South Central of Nigeria. But they were able to carve politically a place called the North Central, but they didn't. Then they also carved a place called the South of Nigeria. These all places were Eastern Nigeria at the time. The Eastern part of Nigeria, or Eastern region of Nigeria, was not just about the Igbos. Okay? There were tens of other ethnic nationalities from that part of Nigeria. But the arrangement pre-independence, before politics of divide and rule, divide yourself not for development but for retrogression, took most part of Nigeria. So they now carved that eastern part of Nigeria after the war. The intention is to make sure that the Igbos, who are part of the eastern Nigeria, they would never have any cause again to call for the breakaway from Nigeria. So politically, they redrew the map of Nigeria. They created other political regions to kind of create that sort of, we'll keep monitoring you, we'll keep watching you. And there was no plan to actually develop, all of that, Abi. The Igbos became the most endangered species, if you put it that way, the most endangered ethnic nationalities in the political space of today's Nigeria. It is so easy if you are non-Igbos, okay? A lot of you were raised to believe that an Igbo man, it is the right thing for you to say. Even when you claim one Nigeria, you can confidently say it that an Igbo man will never be president of Nigeria. You see, one thing you didn't know is that didn't happen overnight. Your parents, our parents, they contributed to that narrative. And today, they will tell you the Igbo land is landlocked. Why are they saying that to you? It's simply because they believe that the political carving out and then fencing them in a way that if they try to say they want to break away again, it is easier to just use all those around them to fight them. They don't even need to bring the Hausa Fulani down anymore. They don't probably need to bring Yorubas as well to come and die in that war. They can easily just tell those around there, empower them, and it is happening. You have Asari Doku Dombabi, Doku Pigi right now, and all of that. So what happened is that the political narrative that will tell you that on the one hand, you have one Nigeria. All of us are one Nigeria. But when it now comes to the right of everyone who identify as Nigerian, if an Igbo man comes, hell will get loose. I have a message for some of you as well, who have decided, despite repeated evidence, that a lot of those who are actually non-Igbos from other parts of Nigeria, sure you get now, especially the Yorubas, they have been at the forefront of those who have been taking these criminals to the cleaners. Yorubas who have been standing up against this APC, but we know so many of you, that you also know those who are the Yoruba Ronu, the ass licker, the crumb eaters, the beggars. Now, whenever you want to throw your bricks, let me break it down so that it's not going to be like I'm modeling everything up for you, okay? The political structure of Nigeria today, on paper, will tell you Nigeria is one country, okay? But the Nigerians who are inside Nigeria or outside Nigeria were raised differently. So the Igbos, who are also part of Nigeria, the third largest ethnic nationality in Nigeria, among others, right, have been politically, institutionally, they have been bought, they have been profiled. And those who are non-Igbos, they believe that naturally it is convenient for them to say the Igbos will never lead Nigeria. This was after the war. Sure you get. And when you ask them why today, they will tell you everything their parents told them. how the Igbos are this, how the Igbos are that. Just same way, when you ask those who have been the victims of that same war that divided Nigeria, I'm talking about the Igbos themselves. Those who suffered the greatest casualty of that needless war. Those who are those who are the victims, the survivors. When you see their descendants too, with what their own parents have told them, raw info they told them, it has become so hard, right, for them to not see the offspring of those their parents said are conspired to slaughter them. You see these two narratives, which came from no victor, no vanquish. Those who committed war crimes, then they became the leaders of Nigeria. Now, coming back from that, there is Nigeria on paper. But when you now go straight into that Nigeria, and you will begin to understand that there are many Nigerias. So for those who have kind of have that mentality of the Yorubas are this, when they jam those who are also today shouting Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Ronu, I am talking about the Agbadorians who have no single respect for the Yoruba land, who have no single positive ideas or any developmental progress for the Yoruba people. As Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, the Yorubas have our own fair share of it. So therefore, we have Yorubas who are taking on these criminals. And then we have the Yorubas who have become the offspring of their own parents, who told them they must never, ever have anything to do with the Igbos, even in the same country called one Nigeria. I don't know if that is kind of not too much for you to decipher, right? Now, you see that from the background of this division, it has been politically programmed that the eastern part of Nigeria must not be given any kind of economic, political, security leverage at all. And systematically, it has been like that. But you know, because it is not because the eastern part of Nigeria, I'm talking about the Igbo land, they don't have their own representatives. In Nigeria, this rotten system, they do. Then you will ask yourself, what are they doing then? If Nigeria conspired against them, failed to develop their own seaport, failed to develop their own international airport, failed to actually develop economic activities in that region, to create employment opportunities for the young, teeming population of that region. Just same way any reasonable government will think of every citizen from every part of Nigeria, Abi. But sincerely speaking, when you see the sufferness, when you see the marginalization, when you see what the Shege Nigerians have been subjected to, I am talking about those who currently today identified as those who are present in today's present territorial area of Nigeria. The Shege is the same from the north to the south, the same from the north, the core north to the creek of a Niger Delta. However, when it comes to the eastern part of Nigeria, it is a different ball game. When I told people that as they are taking tax from everywhere, the southern part of Nigeria, listen to this, the southern part of Nigeria is contributing over 80% of Nigeria's revenue. When I say Nigeria revenue, I'm talking about the revenue that the federal, the central government of Nigeria depends on every day. The real resources of the country that the looters and the criminals in power depends on, from the north to the south, comes from the southern Nigeria. And this may not kind of surprise you, that apart from whatever impression they give to you about the eastern part of Nigeria, and how much of it that a lot of you have kind of swallowed, hook, line, and sinker, there are some certain things that should probably shock you. Nigeria has been existing for the past 63 years. Do you know that out of those 63 years, there is no single federal government of Nigeria completed project in the entire eastern part of Nigeria, the 5 states, Enugu, Anambra, Abia, Imo, what's that last one? Ebonyi. These are the 5 states from the eastern Nigeria: Enugu, Imo, Ebonyi, Anambra, Abia. For 63 years of Nigeria democracy, you will never see a federal government completed airport in eastern Nigeria. You would never see a federal government completed road in eastern Nigeria. You will never see a federal government funded and sponsored medical facility in eastern Nigeria. You will never see any of this. But do you know something? From these resources that are coming from eastern Nigeria and other parts of southern Nigeria, you have Imo State. You have you have Imo, and you have Abia, and then you have Anambra. You see, this Imo and Abia, these two, they are also contributing to the petrodollar or gas, liquid gas dollar that Nigeria is selling. Anywhere Nigeria is selling gas or selling crude oil, these 2 states have been contributing to that money for the past, since the moment they discovered oil. Just so you know, I just want you to know. Like I said, there is no single rail line of the federal government projects in the entire eastern Nigeria for 63 years. Of course, now you can now start asking, what are their leaders doing? I told you, okay? They were comfortable with the political arrangements. They did not push politically because they don't have any political will to push anything. You see the power that a lot of you think you have, whether in the south, southwest, southeast, wherever it is all put inside that fraudulent Decree 4, Decree 24, called 1999 Constitution. The power they give to your governor and give to everybody is not DRC. And if you begin to act funny, they can get rid of you. The people who are there, the political criminals from eastern Nigeria, especially since 1999, they understand this unwritten code too. They never push it. As long as they are making their own money, why should they start fighting the federal government for seaport in eastern Nigeria? Since everybody believes that eastern Nigeria is landlocked. Sure you get? They can never have any seaport. No, it's not possible. And everybody agrees. So why should I push it? When I can continue to collect the allocation, collect my rubber, and everybody can continue to live like that. So 2023 elections then puts the people of eastern Nigeria extraction, the Biafrans, the Igbos, especially those who still felt so connected with Nigeria, they started having a rethink. The election was so divisive. That was the moment we had the Yoruba Ronu. I am a Yoruba man. Even those who are non-Yorubas, they know my position when it comes to this APC, Egbekegbe, and I've repeatedly told every of my audience that cares to listen that every time these criminals are using your ethnic nationality or using your religion as a way of connection to you, you should never buy it, because it has always been their own meal ticket to the dining table where they are sharing our common patrimony. When somebody says, I'm an Igbo man, I deserve this and that, as an Igbo man, I am fighting for my Igbo people. It is a lie. The Igbos knows those who are fighting for them. None of these criminals is fighting for them. They know. When somebody comes and shouts, Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Lokon, Yoruba this or that, sensible Yorubas I am talking about intelligent and sensible Yorubas, knows directly that the Yorubas they are shouting or using is not the common Yoruba, which is me and you. They are referring to calling their own raw ignorance base that believe that they have anything to gain from these criminals when they don't. It is just a meal ticket. Boko Haram sold the idea of northern lokan, Fulani lokan. It is the Fulani stone, Fulanization. Look at the life of an average Fulani from northern Nigeria today. Apart from an average Fulani, also sort of drowning inside the poverty that these criminals have created. Apart from that, Boko Haram's actions have also put the lives of an ordinary Fulani in Nigeria in danger, especially if you are a poor one. So where is all this coming from that these criminals will begin to push Yoruba lokan, Kalabari lokan, Hausa lokan, Fulani lokan, this one lokan, that one lokan. But when you look around, when they say 145 million Nigerians are living in multi-dimensional poverty, like I said, everybody get their own share. Yoruba get share in this multi-dimensional poverty. Igbos have their own share in this multi-dimensional poverty. Hausa, Fulani, Ijo, Ishekiri, Tifi, Nupe, everybody have their own share of this extreme poverty because they are Nigerians. So, what is now the advantage of Fulani Lokan? Because it is also Zobo. Muslim is going to help all the Muslim. It's a great idea for our faith. It's going to promote Christian is going to bring unity. It's about the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ. But when you look around you, you have Muslim governors. Some of them with over 500,000 out of school children in their state. They don't even care. And they are Christians. They are Muslims. In Lagos State alone, 1.24 million school children who are supposed to be in school, that they sell pure water inside Hold Up. They are out of school right now, officially. 1.2 million children. The governor of Lagos State is probably Christian. The governor of Kano State is a Muslim. The majority of those who have been governor in Kano, they have always been Muslims, Abi. So, the children in Kano, I would say 90% of them were raised as Muslims, Abi. 2 million out of school children in Kano alone. Shena so, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said you should use your position when you have a chance of changing the life of the poor. Shein Koti Muhammad this on here. So when you go to all these places, you will see Christian governor, Christian commissioner, Muslim commissioner, Christian minister, Muslim minister, Yoruba minister, Igbo minister, Hausa minister, Fulani minister, Fulani commissioner, Yoruba commissioner. All of them are there, ruining the lives of everybody that they can. So where do you think, when they begin to sell that bobo, and you, when you know that there are Yorubas and they are actually in the majority, who despise all these criminals and their activities, they will never stand up and begin to say, I'm a Yoruba, but they're not going to hide that. You know that. Then when you want to take your jibe, like the Olori Brukus like you, because you wanted to hide behind, say you are Igbo, and then you will just say, that is why I hate this tribe. All these Yorubas are this or that. Listen to me. As we have some of you mofos as Igbos, as you have some of these mofos as Yorubas, as you have all these mofos across the place who have nothing to actually contribute but to fan the ember of division. Look at the tiny, minute rogues, criminals who are promoting ethnic division from every tribe, and then you latch on that and you begin to hold your big brush and begin to paint the entire ethnic. They begin to paint them with the same brush. And then when you jam Mayegun, you want to sound like, what happened is that, except for Mayegun. And you see Mayegun, I am so surprised. A Yoruba man. Can you imagine? A Yoruba man. I can't believe this. A Yoruba man is talking like this. I have never seen a Yoruba man talk like this, because you are also a bigoty. As we have Yoruba bigots, we have Igbo bigoty, we have Hausa bigoty. Nigeria